You are standing in complete darkness. No light, no visual reference, no horizon, no fixed point in space, and yet you know exactly where you are. You know whether you are upright or tilted, whether you are moving or still, whether you are accelerating, turning, or stopping. Even with your eyes closed, your body builds a precise internal map of orientation that feels effortless and immediate. But that raises a deeper question. If vision is removed, how does the brain still know the position of the body in space? The answer lies inside a structure no larger than a coin, hidden deep within the skull, encased in bone and constantly translating physics into perception. The ear, but not just for hearing. The ear is also one of the most sophisticated motion detection systems in biology, a dual-purpose organ. One part dedicated to sound, another dedicated to balance, and both are governed by the same principle: the conversion of mechanical energy into biological signals. Sound begins as vibration, pressure waves traveling through air molecules. These waves are not material objects. They are oscillations in density, rapid compressions and rarefactions moving through space. When they reach your head, they are collected by the outer ear. The pinna, a curved structure shaped by evolution to capture directional cues and subtly filter frequencies based on angle of entry. This is why you can often tell where a sound is coming from without turning your head. The ear is already analyzing spatial information before the brain even intervenes. Sound waves then enter the ear canal, a narrow acoustic tube that acts as a resonator, amplifying certain frequencies, particularly those important for human speech. At the end of this canal lies the tympanic membrane, the eardrum, a thin, tensioned biological membrane that vibrates in response to pressure changes in the air. But vibration alone is not enough. Air is low density, fluid is high density, and the inner ear is filled with fluid, so the body must solve a physics problem. How do you efficiently transfer energy from air into liquid? The answer is impedance matching, and it is achieved through three tiny bones: the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. The ossicles form a mechanical lever system that amplifies force while reducing displacement. This allows weak air vibrations to become strong fluid pressure waves. The stapes presses against the oval window, and at that moment, the system transitions between physical domains, from air conduction to fluid conduction, from external vibration to internal wave mechanics. Inside the cochlea, sound becomes a traveling pressure wave, a spiral structure filled with fluid chambers separated by flexible membranes. The basilar membrane is not uniform. It is mechanically graded, stiffer at the base, more flexible at the apex. This creates a physical frequency analyzer. High frequencies cause maximum displacement near the base. Low frequencies travel deeper toward the apex. Sound is therefore decomposed spatially inside the ear itself, not in the brain, but in the mechanics of the cochlea. On top of the basilar membrane sit thousands of hair cells, each equipped with stereocilia arranged in precise geometric patterns. When fluid movement bends these structures, mechanically gated ion channels open. Potassium ions flow in. Electrical potentials are generated. Mechanical energy becomes electrochemical code. This is mechanotransduction, and it is one of the most direct physics-to-biology conversions in the human body. These signals travel through the auditory nerve, into the brainstem, then through multiple relay stations including the cochlear nuclei, superior olivary complex, inferior colliculus, and finally the auditory cortex. Each stage adds computational layers. The brain does not simply receive sound. It reconstructs it. It calculates timing differences between ears to locate direction. It compares intensity gradients. It extracts frequency patterns. It separates noise from structured signal, until what emerges is not vibration, but perception, meaning, language, music, and environment. But hearing is only half of the system, because inside the same bony labyrinth lies another sensory apparatus entirely, the vestibular system, dedicated not to external sound, but to internal motion, to balance, to spatial orientation. It consists of 3 semicircular canals arranged in orthogonal planes. Each canal detects rotation in a different axis: yaw, pitch, and roll. Inside each canal is endolymph fluid. When you rotate your head, the fluid lags behind due to inertia. This relative motion bends the cupula, a gelatinous structure housing sensory hair cells. Once again, mechanotransduction occurs. But this time the stimulus is angular acceleration, not sound. The brain is not measuring position directly, it is measuring change in motion and integrating it over time. Complementing this system are the otolith organs, the utricle and saccule. These detect linear acceleration and gravity. Inside them are microscopic calcium carbonate crystals called otoconia. These dense particles shift under gravitational force, pulling on underlying sensory hair cells, providing constant information about head orientation relative to Earth's gravity field. Together, these structures form a biological inertial navigation system, one that functions even in complete darkness, even in silence, even without conscious attention. But the system does not work alone. Vestibular signals are integrated with visual input and proprioceptive feedback from muscles and joints. The brain constructs a unified model of body position using multisensory fusion. When these systems agree, perception feels stable. When they conflict, the result is disorientation, vertigo, motion sickness, a breakdown in sensory integration rather than a failure of a single organ. At the microscopic level, hair cells in both cochlea and vestibular organs are extremely sensitive. They can detect displacements smaller than atomic scales of many biological structures. But this sensitivity comes with a limitation. Hair cells in humans have minimal regenerative capacity. Once damaged by noise exposure, aging, or toxins, they are often permanently lost, which is why hearing loss and balance disorders are frequently irreversible, a fragile system performing a continuous high-precision function. But evolution accepts this trade-off, because the ability to detect sound and motion with extreme sensitivity provides a survival advantage that outweighs long-term vulnerability. From a physical perspective, both hearing and balance rely on the same fundamental principle: fluid dynamics converted into electrical signals, external waves and internal inertia translated into neural code. But there is another layer beyond the inner ear, because perception of sound is not complete until the brain interprets it. In the auditory cortex, sound is no longer frequency. It becomes pattern recognition, speech segmentation, emotional tone, spatial mapping of environment. The brain does not passively receive sound. It actively constructs auditory reality, filtering irrelevant noise, enhancing important signals, predicting missing information in conversation, which is why you can understand speech even in noisy environments. Because perception is not recording. It is prediction constrained by sensory input. The same applies to balance. The brain continuously predicts body orientation and corrects it using vestibular feedback, a closed-loop control system operating in real time. And all of it begins with tiny mechanical movements inside your inner ear. Every step you take activates vestibular sensors. Every sound you hear triggers cochlear mechanics. Every moment of stability is a constructed interpretation of physics, not awareness of space itself, but continuous computation of spatial information. And perhaps the most remarkable realization is this: you are never directly experiencing the external world. You are experiencing a biological model of it, constructed from waves, vibrations, and fluid motion inside a structure no larger than a coin. That quietly defines your sense of reality itself.